Hey guys, welcome back. We are on day 5 of the Fandeya sew along. Today we're going to we're going to finish off and put together the Purse Pal by Lynn's Handmade Designs. We're going to finish this off. So we're going to need all our pieces. So you should have, on the first day we inserted our zipper. So you should have your main piece with your lining and your zipper installed. You should have your snap tab with the female side installed. And then on the second day, we constructed our card slots. So you should have your card slots with your male end of the snap installed. So we are going to start off by gluing. We're going to grab our fabric tack. So we're going to start with the card slot piece. So set the other two pieces aside. And we're going to flip it over. And we're going to glue around the edge. You don't want to get globs near the edge because it will ooze out. You just want enough to kind of hold everything together. So once you go around, then you want to do a line up the middle. Now grab some clips and we're going to fold this in half. And I like to start by lining up the corners. And then go down to the bottom corner and we'll get that lined up. And this is going to help line everything else up. Then you can go around and press all your other sides, clipping them in place. You want to make sure you don't have too much overhang. You can go back in and trim a little bit after the fact, but there's only so much wiggle room. So now that you have your edges in place, we're going to go in and put some clips down that middle. So we're going to let this sit for a second and then we're going to go in and top stitch. But we're going to let this sit so that the glue can adhere a little bit. So set that aside for 2 seconds and take your main zippered piece, and just like we did with the card slot, we are going to do some glue around the edge of this as well, trying to stay on the vinyl, not huge globs. Try not to get it on your surface. If you do, wipe it up. Don't get it on your vinyl. It is hard, very hard to get off. All right, so we're going to, again, start with your corners and get those lined up. Go down to your bottom corner and get that lined up. And then we can come in. If your fabric kind of bunches up right here, just push it down And then clip all this in place. You don't want anything hanging out, so if you have anything fraying, get that trimmed up. All right. So everything should be lined up nice and neat. All right, so set that aside and come back to your slip pocket. And we are going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch from your folded over edge. You might want to use a hump jumper or something to give you a little bit of lift right here. If you don't have a hump jumper, you can use a piece of folded vinyl. I would use the wrong side. And I'm going to back stitch here and continue down at 1/8 of an inch. Carefully, you might have had some glue come out. Trim off your threads. All right, and then we need all our pieces now, and we're going to put it all together. So put on your snap, attach your snaps together, and then we are going to line up, take off some of your clips, and we're going to line up your corners. Now you want to make sure that you are putting your slip pocket card slots on so that when everything is closed, your pockets are going the right way. You don't want it to be, your card slots be upside down and your zipper be over here. So make sure that everything's going the correct way, and then we'll continue. So make sure everything's going the same way, and then we're gonna eyeball your tab so that it's straight, and then inserting it between the back vinyl piece, we're going to open that up, and then I like to put it between the piece of the first piece of vinyl and the fabric. So you'll have your slip pocket, you'll have 2 pieces of vinyl, and then your third piece of vinyl right here, and then peel the fabric back away from that, and then we will insert that and then come back out and make sure that it's straight and where you want it now that we have it in there. So make sure it's where you want it. And then I will come in with some glue. So you can either add it between the first piece of fabric and vinyl or in the back between the fabric and the vinyl. I just like to keep it between the fabric and the vinyl so that way when you open it up, you're not going to have the end of the tab showing. And then clip that in place. Open, make sure it's where you want it. Make sure it's straight, you're happy with it. Come on. All right, so make sure you're happy with where everything is, that your top is still, everything at the top is still lined up. And then open up your snap and then just reposition so that that stays where it needs to stay. And then continue clipping around, keeping everything lined up. All right, before you start sewing everything, double check that your pocket, your card slot pockets and your zipper are going the same way. So that way your zipper's up here, your card slots are going the right way. So we're gonna sew around the perimeter of the bag at 1/8 of an inch. The starting and ending is gonna be tricky because you do have your zipper ends, so it is a little tricky. Making sure your snap is open, and we are going to back stitch and continue down at 1/8 of an inch. Coming up and over the tab is going to be the bulkiest spot, so you might want to use your hump jumper to help you get over it. So coming up to the corner, just like we did with our box, we're gonna make sure our needle's all the way down and then hand crank it so it starts to come back up. And this will catch your threads together. Pivot to come down that angled edge. And repeat to come down your straight edge. Slow down when you come down to your bottom corner. Hand crank, pivot, and we're going to sew all the way to the end and backstitch. Make sure you caught everything and then trim. If your vinyl shifted, if your piece shifted on you and you have some excess vinyl sticking out, you can go ahead and take your ruler, and I would line it up about 1/8 of an inch on your stitch line. So on your stitch line, put your 1/8 of an inch mark and then just trim it. So you now have a completed purse pal. Now, if you do decide to do some edge paint, we can go ahead and do that. It is not required. It just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. There's different types of edge paint out there. I'm just using this Plaid FX Smooth Satin Flexible Acrylic Paint. I picked it up at Michael's. There are better options out there. This is just what I could grab quickly. I would recommend a edge roller, edge tool painter. This will help make applying your edge paint a lot better. It'll keep it from going onto your vinyl. So depending on what type of edge paint you're using, you might need a base coat. So just make sure you figure out what type of paint you're using and if you need a base coat or a top coat. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your paint and you're just gonna roll it over the edges. So you're gonna go all the way around. You might need more than one coat, just being careful you don't get it on the front or back of your vinyl. And being careful when you're doing this top piece that you don't get paint all over your snap tab. So I'm gonna finish this off and then I'll be right back. All right, so I finished with the edge paint. All my edges are painted. Now you have your completed purse pal. Go ahead and take your photo for day 5 and add that to the sew along group in the corresponding day. And tomorrow is a catch up day So thanks, guys.